Right. So part three, the the uh, the Iron Warrior, or the assassin's dead, and Hector isn't really sure if there's a connection with the Iron Warrior, but the Iron Warrior um still has there's a blue jay outside who wants food off of our bird feeder, but he'll have to wait. Um, so the So they don't know if there's a connection between the vampire assassin and the Iron Warrior, but they know the Iron Warrior exists. Didn't quite know exactly the the transition, but suddenly, they're in the next scene of they're aware that there's an explosion on the planet. One of those nuclear power plants from that were a part of the Iron Warrior's missions has exploded, and the scene suddenly in the scene it's Hector, Antigues, everyone, Horus faction, the Titan nobility and officials fleeing into Stormbirds and planes to escape the explosion. And I mean, there's the narration is a lot of people are struggling to get into these planes. They've named some of the entourage of the Horus's faction, and then Hector saves someone so that they can. Basically, they were trying to take off, um, but someone was left behind. So Hector runs, gets that person into the plane, but they're just hanging on the plane's ramp. They had to take off before they could get in. And so Antigues can't pull both of them up. And so Hector says, protect the weak. It's a motto that was mentioned, a salamander motto. It was mentioned earlier in the story. And Hector wants Antigues to let him go. And there's some good description of how a reflection in Hector's eyes of the destruction and explosions, and how for Hector he's reflecting and introspecting just about the it takes him back to Isfahan 5 and how he feels at peace if he dies. He thinks a quote or a paraphrase quote is like, now I join my brothers, or now I'll be like my brothers. I'll be like the salamanders. Many of us are lost. And that's what happens. Hector falls, and Antigues has no choice but to lift the Horus remembrance or entourage person into the plane, and that's how the story ends. Do I have comments on it? I sure do, but I don't remember them. Or I don't have them on my head right now. And it's just more to the world of the 40K universe. I didn't know about the vampires. That was cool. And I didn't know about this Titan planet. So they were commenting on its history of how it was a very military culture, but like a modern, as modern as it could get in the 40K universe, 30K at this point universe. And they were assuming their admiration and understanding of the emperor's military might is what made the compliance so easy, which was, nice to, it was just, that was just more nice stuff to know about the world. Um, a little more about ultramarine salamander perspectives. Antigues thought the salamanders are and Nocturne is a bit of a barbaric world. I wouldn't have known that. Uh, just looking at the time. And then the I thought the Artificer character is a nice touch. The Some of these non-space marine perspectives, for me, is not as interesting, or sometimes I think like this really kind of took me out of the story I was reading. I think it was the Thousand Suns, or no, it was um the First Heretic with the lore. It was the Lorgar book and the Word Bearers book, and they 3/4 of the book through, they put us into a new perspective, a perspective of a remembrancer who is not a likable uh, character, um, and or you're not supposed to like him, and I mean what I mean is the guy was described as a liar his whole life, kind of a low life his whole life, his entire life, and so I was just like, this is I wasn't really reading the book to have this random character who didn't even, you know, who dies at the ending of the book, be brought in, and so I think writing wise, it's a good choice to help the process of climax and resolution. But I mean, I didn't care, dude. The guy, it's not. I mean, I'm laughing. Like in context, this is when I bring it up. Just that the the guy decides to be a remembrancer out of just not survival, just selfish, self-oriented needs, and he does, and then he in pursuit of becoming like a great remembrancer for vanity, decides to go into prohibited areas to take really nice pictures, and that's also what he does at the time of his death, when the vessel he's on is being destroyed. He at the beginning of that, he decides, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to sneak into the prohibited area, and then he gets some pictures, and then in the process of the destruction he dies, and it's like, wow, why did I have that character brought into this story, or why was that character brought in? Whatever. Okay. um but yeah, so yeah, this was nice. This was a nice I'm confused, and I got it going through my head because I guess it's like this is not a book within this book, or a volume within this book. I don't know how this book is structured.